Donald Trump's proclivity for fascism is obvious, but his latest post on Truth Social puts on full display the extent to which he's willing to embrace it openly and proudly. As we await the ruling from the US Supreme Court as to whether or not Trump had full immunity as president, the absurdity of which I'll get to in a moment, he took to his social media site and wrote, "A president of the United States must have full immunity, without which it would be impossible for him or her to properly function. Any mistake, even if well-intended, would be met with almost certain indictment by the opposing party at term end. Even events that cross the line must fall under total immunity, or it will be years of trauma trying to determine good from bad. There must be certainty. Example, you can't stop police from doing the job of strong and effective crime prevention because you want to guard against the occasional rogue cop or bad apple. Sometimes you just have to live with great but slightly imperfect. All presidents must have complete and total presidential immunity, or the authority and decisiveness of the President of the United States will be stripped and gone forever. Hopefully this will be an easy decision. God bless the Supreme Court." Here's the thing. Trump says that without complete immunity for committing criminal acts, it would be impossible for a president to function. Weird how 44 presidents before him managed to function without immunity for committing crimes, and yet suddenly, Trump believes that a president can't even function unless he's got carte blanche to do whatever he wants with impunity. The guy writes, "Any mistake, even if well-intentioned, would be met with almost certain indictment by the opposing party at term end." We've been a country for almost 250 years. We have yet to have a president met with almost certain indictment by the opposing party at the end of his term. Trump says these things as if the US started today, or as if we were all born today and don't have 247 years of history to very easily look back on. So if you're wondering just how stupid he believes his supporters to be, think about what it means if someone asks, "Do you think I was born yesterday?" And that'll give you your answer. The simple fact is that presidential immunity in criminal cases is intended solely to give Donald Trump cover to commit criminal acts. That's all. And that was put on full display when Trump's attorney was asked by the DC Court of Appeals whether this concept meant that a president could have his political opponent assassinated, for example, and still not face criminal conviction. And here's what he had to say.
Order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival. That's an official act in order to SEAL Team 6?
He would have to be and would speedily be, impeached and convicted before the criminal prosecution.
What if he weren't? There would be no criminal prosecution, no criminal liability for that?
Chief Justice's opinion in Marbury against Madison and our Constitutional tradition and the plain language of the impeachment judgment clause all clearly presuppose that what the founders were concerned about was not.
I asked you a yes or no question. Could a president who ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival who was not impeached, would he be subject to criminal prosecution?
If he were impeached and convicted first. And
so your answer is no.
My answer is qualified yes. There's a political process that would have to occur under the structure of our Constitution, which would require impeachment and conviction by the Senate. In these exceptional cases,
that a president would be able to have his political opponent assassinated unless he was impeached and convicted by the Senate, which, to be clear, is an imaginary standard. But it's convenient because Donald Trump personally wasn't convicted with a 2/3 vote by the Senate. How about that? A standard created out of whole cloth by Donald Trump's attorney that just so happens to absolve his client. Lucky, huh? Now, despite this glaring absurdity, Trump has fully embraced it.
President, do you agree with your lawyers what they said on Tuesday, that you should not be prosecuted or could not be prosecuted if you ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill a political opponent?
Well, you're talking about a totally different case, the immunity. I say this, on immunity, very simple. If a president of the United States does not have immunity, he'll be totally ineffective because he won't be able to do anything, because it will mean he'll be prosecuted, strongly prosecuted perhaps, as soon as he leaves office by the opposing party. So a president of the United States, I'm not talking just me, I'm talking any president has to have immunity.
First of all, do not sleep on the insanity of not only Trump's suggestion that a president is basically akin to a king in this country. That, on its face, is bad enough. But take that to its logical conclusion. Donald Trump wants to once again become president so that he can wield power that he himself admits is unlimited and unchecked. He is broadcasting over and over again, first on video, now in writing, that if he steps foot into the Oval Office, he will do so under the pretense that he can do anything he wants, which makes him not a president, but a dictator. I'm no expert on republicanism, but I'm pretty sure that that's not what you'd consider conservative. And by the way, as for the argument that Trump and his attorneys are making, that a president has full immunity unless some arbitrary set of conditions is met, its frivolity cannot be overstated. I spoke with my Legal Breakdown co-host Glenn Kirshner about whether there's any legal basis for this claim, and here's what he had to say. Glenn, if Trump's lawyers are arguing that a president is covered by complete immunity, even if, he has his political opponent assassinated, are they not also de facto suggesting that Joe Biden could literally do that to Donald Trump and that Trump has no recourse?
Yeah, Joe Biden never has to leave office if Trump wins this argument. He's not going to win the argument. I am confident of that. But, there is this almost philosophical discussion I've been having with friends and colleagues lately. If the courts rule that Donald Trump has absolute presidential immunity and commit any and all crimes he wants, including crimes designed to unlawfully retain the power of the presidency, then the reality is America has been converted into a dictatorship. And if people had to choose a dictator, Donald Trump or Joe Biden, who are you going to choose?
Right.
I know this is like an insane discussion to be having, Brian, but that's exactly where we would end up if the courts ruled Donald Trump has the absolute immunity he is seeking. But rest assured, the courts will not so hold.
And of course, to see more episodes of The Legal Breakdown, make sure to subscribe to this channel. But in other words, this isn't only dangerous, it is completely frivolous. It's based on nothing. Donald Trump and his attorneys are busy concocting novel legal theories out of whole cloth that don't stand up to the mildest of scrutiny. He and his team will just string together whatever words sound nice in their desperation to convey Trump's actual position, which is that the law doesn't apply to him. This is about unchecked power and nothing more. He views himself as a dictator, period. And ultimately, that's what Trump's presidential campaign is about. There is a reason that he doesn't talk about jobs or healthcare or the economy in the same way that other candidates do. He doesn't care about those issues. That isn't why he's running. He is running solely to protect himself from prosecution. That's all. This isn't rocket science. He needs the presidency to shield himself from accountability for the crimes that he's been indicted for. Will that help you or your family? Will it lower costs or add jobs or protect reproductive health care or make kids safer in classrooms? Fuck no. Will it ensure that Donald Trump himself shirks responsibility for his own actions? Absolutely. The simple fact is that this veil has been lifted. He is broadcasting, vowing, promising to take office as an autocrat. Here he is just days ago suggesting that certain news networks' licenses be revoked for not airing his victory speech from the Iowa caucus.
But we were talking about a show and how corrupt the press is. And last night, it was amazing. NBC and CNN refused to air my victory speech. Think of it. Because they are crooked, they're dishonest, and frankly, they should have their licenses or whatever they have taken away. They put on Nikki Haley. She came in third, a distant third, a distant third.
For a party whose identity is supposedly predicated on its love of freedom and the Constitution and democracy, you quite literally could not find a person more opposed to any of those ideals. The GOP doesn't want freedom, it doesn't want the rule of law, it doesn't want a constitution, it wants to be ruled. It wants to be under the thumb of an all-powerful being. It wants a king. That is what Donald Trump represents for them, and they've shown us that they're all in. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on this screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.